Hey, how's it going? Welcome back. This is the week of relaxation, or week of relaxing. Why? Well, this week, similar to the week of chill, probably, I believe, there was just not a lot going on. I was able to barely scrounge by my 30 hours, 40 hours of work this week to get my paycheck. Other than that, I had my normal hangouts with friends and doing stuff after work in the evenings, but I didn't have anything planned for this weekend. There was no plans at all to go out to do anything, to meet people. Didn't really matter. I already had my laundry done too, so less chores. This is a pretty relaxed week, and because of that, and because this is gonna be a short video, since that was what my week was like. Looking at the time, there's a very good chance this actually gets out and is fully uploaded by the end of the Sunday evening. It's about 10:45 right now, so we'll see if that actually sticks to the time period, I'm assuming, or maybe it goes a little bit longer. I don't want to say too much, but I've been going back and forth with someone and making it sound a little bit more than maybe it is. I will potentially have some big and good news, I think, tomorrow. And if it happens tomorrow, we'll find out at the end of this week. And if so, I have a feeling next week's video will be named after that. But we'll see how that goes. I don't really have half the time I say I don't have a schedule or plans for what I'm going to talk about. And I don't, this is going to be a shorter one, I think. I'm hoping that I can get it at least long enough for, there's like 1.2 gameplays. I did one game that I joined a bit late, one game that lasted for about a whole 2 minutes before it instantly went into the next one, and then one full one that I was real proud of. That's just what you get when you try to play games where the servers are officially shut down, so someone's hosting them and, load in a team deathmatch, but it's nothing but free-for-all. Anyways, I think I should be able to get at least one game worth of talking out of this. And I'm just going to talk about what relaxing means for me now in my current state. So, back in high school, I went through periods of, there was times I was, going to school 5 days a week, after school programs every day of the week, and then I had work 4 or 5 days of the week. And that went on for like a month or two, and I was draining myself to the point where I went, okay, I need some breaks, and I cut back on my work schedule. And I continued to slowly cut back on different things until towards the end I ended up having a lot of time. And I would go to school, do some after school stuff, but then between, maybe 4 or 5 p.m. and midnight, I just had time to do whatever. And especially in senior year, when I made it my goal to do no homework at home, I would do it all in class or during school hours. A lot of the times I would go to school. This basically counts as homework at this point at home, but I'd go to school, get there early at like 7, and I would finish my first class's homework before first class, and then second class before second, and so on. And so I'd almost do the homework day of sometimes too. But it was all about relaxing and having time. I kind of was very much like that during college as well. And for the first year and a half I had, I was living up here and I had my job. It was very similar. I would go to work and I'd come home and I'd have tons of time. And maybe I'd play some games with friends, but a lot of that stemmed from not having friends nearby or things to do. Well, I forced myself out of that by spending a bunch of money on board games and saying, you're going to feel bad that this is going to waste and just sitting on your shelf unless you find people to play with. And so 1.5 board game groups later, now I've got a group of people I play with. I do D&D. I've got an online group of friends that I play. We've got weekly consistent schedule for playing games. 2 date nights a week for Lorcana, and very quickly it went from I didn't have much to do, didn't have many friends, needed ways to fill my time, to I was full busy, and I still am full busy every single week. In fact, when I was going to bed last night, I told one of my friends, I said, tomorrow's the first day in over a month that I get to go to bed, and it does not matter when I wake up. I could wake up at 7 a.m. or 1 p.m. I have nothing scheduled, nowhere to go. Even yesterday, I made a sort of last-minute decision on Friday to go to a card game tournament. And while that didn't start till 12:30, it did mean I had to get up and leave by 12. And in card game fashion for me, in a sort of ritual, I did not make my deck until the morning of. So I knew I'd have to get up like an hour beforehand to make the deck and sleeve it and shuffle it and everything. So there's still a time restraint on that. Today, no such thing. I woke up, hung out, uh, played some games, had some food, took a nap. Then I got up and I played some more games, this time with people, and that was kind of my whole afternoon. And it dawned on me that I really don't like. I mean, having some free time is nice, and it's a lot better than knowing that I have something to do in the middle of the day and kind of having that weigh down on me all day long. Um, but I really do like the busy schedules, or at least the filled schedules that I have. If I'm given all the time in the day to do nothing, I'll have that slow period in the morning of from 8 to noon. Feels like 10 hours have gone by and it's been only 4. And then if I go to take a nap or to lay down or whatever, I'll kill 2 or 3 hours in the afternoon. But then it's starting to get to 3:30 or 4, and I feel like, oh man, the day is slipping away from me and I'm wasting it. Even though just earlier it felt like I had infinite time and like time was going way too slow, and I took time to relax and everything. So there's almost no winning in that. And so I very much like it better where I have a full day of things to do and maybe a bit of time when I get home. Um, but I really do thrive, and I've heard people say this before I was doing this. They said they thrive by having busy schedules and always, keeping themselves going. And I never understood it. I was like, that sounds horrible. Why would you ever want to do that? And now it's my preferred way of living. Another thing I've kind of learned is that compared to some of my other friends, I tend to schedule my life around people. So very much what they will do is, oh, I'm free for the next 2 hours. I'm going to send out a message to see if we can game, and then I'm going to do my thing for the next 2 hours. And then that's it. They stick to that. Whereas I look at my day and go, okay, I've got 4 hours. I'll send out a message, and I'm going to start doing my thing. But I'm not going to leave it restricted to that. If somebody says, hey, do you want to play games later on, or maybe during a time where I'm a bit busy, I look at my schedule and go, yes, I can do that now, and I shift my other things that I'm doing around. Now, is that healthy? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Sometimes I don't get things done that I need to get done, or it gets pushed till later. Sometimes it's just completely fine. But I do believe and understand that these things don't last forever. There will be a time when, for one reason or another, I won't be able to play games with these people. Whether they're more busy or we lose touch or whatever could happen. So I want to make the most out of the time when I can. And I kind of am feeling that right now with one of my friends, where last year we did a ton of gaming together, and this year I think we've been on call maybe twice, and it's been 2 months. So life it comes at you fast and things get busy. And I want to make sure that while I can, I'm taking all the time possible to hang out with my friends, for the most part. Today I had friends go to get some food and see a musical. And I looked at it and I went, it's just not worth driving 2 hours to hang out with them for 2 hours to drive another 2 hours home. As much as I'd want to do it, that's a really taxing thing to do, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to do it. But I have that sort of... Anyways, the overall theme of this is that I have a bit of trouble, or I just choose not to separate my sort of personal life from my professional life, or my mandatory things from my what I doesn't need to happen, doesn't need to get done, like gaming. And I got a reminder of the fact that I'm not great at separating personal from professional this weekend. It wasn't a big deal. There was just a little bit of a miscommunication is what it came down to. But the way I see it is that if I have a skill that I can offer somebody, a friend, I'm going to do that. And even if it's not a skill, even if I can just be useful, like picking my friends up, telling them I'm in the area when I'm absolutely not in the area, but making that detour to pick them up so they have a ride. Those sort of things are things that I like to do, whether it's because I want to feel good about myself, I want to help them out, maybe it is just I'm on the way. I like to do that. And there was a point this weekend where I have friends who own a game store. The details of this don't matter, but essentially I was asking one of them for a semi-professional help, but from a friend standpoint. So it's like, hey, person to person, can you help me with this? Even though it's not really within our customer versus owner relationship that we have. And if I was them, I would just be like, oh yeah, of course, that's no big deal. But I'm starting to see that other people don't think that way, and that at the end of the day, if you're a business owner, you have to be in it for yourself, and for your business and for your family. And if other people do this in their own personal health way, right? They want to make sure that they're getting their chores done, and they have time to eat dinner, and they're doing stuff on a normal schedule. And so if I say, hey, you want to hang out, they will just say, no, I'm busy, and they won't shape their lives around me, which is fine. I don't expect them to, but it's just interesting to see that most people don't shape their lives around others, whereas that is what I'm doing constantly, trying to make sure that I'm available and that I'm, doing as much as I can with people. Anyways, that was, I think I'm rambling on that, so I'm just going to kill that topic. I've got like probably a minute or so left. So the only other two things that are interesting, or I found out yesterday, that the Prius can in fact slide on ice. I took a turn going 20. I don't know. You could take the turn at like 30, 35, and it would be fine. But it was snowing, and there was, I guess, too much snow, too much ice. And when I turned the wheel, the car did not turn. And I watched a fence and a curb get closer and closer, and I had to real quick figure out, all right, how much do I need to pump this brake and spin this wheel and figure it out. And from that point, luckily I was only about 2 minutes away from home, but I did not break 15. I said, I am not doing that again. It was a little bit of fun, but very scary in the moment, and I'm just going to go crazy under the speed limit to make sure that I do not crash and nothing happens. And why don't I want anything to happen? Well, for many reasons, but specifically because this is the week of my birthday. We turned the big old 2-5, 1 year away from being off the parents' insurance for real, for real. So I feel like I owe it to, at the very least, my family and some friends to at least get to that day, right? Don't go causing any super car accidents, Tokyo drifting on ice. Looks like we got the end here, though. 6th throwing knife kill and a win in the free-for-all match. But thank you for anyone here, and I hope that you're doing well and you have a good week. I'll see you.